Okay. Uh, Start ಮಾಡೋಣವಾ?
Okay, sir.
Okay. So in the last class, good morning to all of you. In the last class, we have discussed something about the apiculture, where we have discussed about the different types of bees, and uh, even we have discussed the life cycle of the honeybee. Today, we will move on to discuss the history, scope, and importance of apiculture, and then we will also try to understand what are the products that we get from the apiculture. This is the synopsis of what we are going to discuss today. So now, as far as the uh, apiculture is concerned, we have discussed the history because in the last class only it has started in the Egypt, then spread to Mesopotamia and all those things. Now coming to India, from where we have started or the apiculture gained importance. So all of you know that the it's also an old technique even in India. It was known to Indians since ages, and its references have been made in the ancient Vedic as well as in Buddha scripts also. That means it is even during the Vedic period also, the people were knowing the importance of this honeybee and honey. Uh, but the scientific principles to Indian traditional beekeeping merged in the 19th century, at the end of the 19th century. Till the end of the 19th century, beekeeping in India was most traditional, and most of the time it was the collection of the honeybees from the wild. But later, in the end of the 19th century, lot of modern scientific inputs were taken into consideration for the upgradation of the traditional method of beekeeping in India. Uh, in India, first we started with Apis cerana, the variety, especially the movable frame hives. Uh, Movable till then in India, though apiculture was there, but the colonies were not movable. It started in 1880s in Bengal and in 1883, 84 in Punjab uh, with Apis cerana with movable frame hives. But the success rate was not very promising at that time. In South India, uh, one particular clergy, Christian clergy, that's Reverend Newton, he started a beekeeping training, and he trained number of rural folks during 1911 to 1917, and he devised a hive also for this Apis cerana, and now it is named after him, the Newton's hive, which is ideal for Indian climatic condition. Whatever the beehives, bee boxes that you see in Jane Petigan Urtaidirla, that is known as Newton's hive. Beekeeping work in southern India started in the Travancore in 1917 and in 1925 in Mysore because the mm, royal families, either Wadayer of Mysore or Maharaja of Travancore, actively encouraged beekeeping. Even they had a Royal Commission on Agriculture in 1928. It promoted the cottage industries to uh, promote this beekeeping in the rural India. Uh, then it continued forward in the Madras in 1931, Punjab in 1933, Coorg in 1934, and in two districts of UP in 1938. In 1938 and 39, beekeepers of India organized themselves and they formed a society also, that is called as All India Beekeepers Association. Uh, in 1938-39 only, Indian Council for Agriculture Research, what we call ICAR today, established the research station also in Punjab in 1945. And after 6 years, one more research center was started in Coimbatore. Uh, since 1950s, ICR is funding various research projects on beekeeping. Uh, Not only that, uh, ICR started All India Coordinated Project on honeybee research and training. Uh, Under this banner, they have started almost 8 centers of training throughout the country, where the administration center is at Haryana Agriculture University campus in Hisar. So this is how the modern bee culture, beekeeping, was initiated and propagated in India. First, we should thank the Maharajas of Mysore and Travancore for initiating that. Then later it is the Indian Council for Agriculture Research which promoted the beekeeping. And so now uh, this is what we call the Newton's hive. Just I wanted to show you, full of funny. We hope this is the Newton's hive. Now, beekeeping in India, not only in India, everywhere, I should say, everywhere over the world, is quite profitable. Wherever there's a good floral pasturage or the trees or flowering trees are there, or even agriculture with the flowers are there, the beekeeping is always profitable. So, even the possibility of development of beekeeping in India is tremendous compared to other countries for the very simple reason that ours is a mega biodiversity country. We have different climatic conditions, geographical regions, and rich flowering plants. So that's why beekeeping is uh, has a tremendous potential and inexhaustible floral resources that we have, natural vegetation, and even the cultivated crops also. Uh, as of the some of the recent studies, statistics say that there are 50 million hectares of land under the cultivation of oilseeds, pulses, orchards, and other crops, which are useful for the bees because these flowers have the nectar and pollen. And by keeping the bees, you are helping their pollination also. It is estimated that if you keep the honeybees in your farm, it will increase the production by 15 to 25% because these bees help in the pollination. And in addition to this 50 million hectares of land under cultivation, we have 60 million hectares of forest area, which is also rich potential, having a rich potential for bee culture. And this vast area of 60 plus 50, 110 million hectares, uh, they can sustain at least 1 crore bee colonies. 1 crore bee colonies it can easily sustain, even more than that. The beekeeping is a profitably pursued by men, women, and even the children also, by farmers or florists or those who are landless and even underemployed or unemployed also they can take up this. Because you can keep the beehives kept in your backyard or on the housetop also. Even if you request, if you are landless also, you can ask the landlords to allow them to keep your beehives in there because uh, they can time and interest can certainly manage a number of beehives and make this beekeeping a profitable enterprise by selling the honey and wax. Nowadays, several people in the villages or they have made some clusters or groups together and they start many cooperative societies and generating work and income. Uh, Many of the equipment that is needed for beekeeping can be done or can be manufactured locally. Me, hives, frames, smokers, extractors, containers. There are many beekeeping societies. Probably here, in Uttar Kannada, we have one vibrant beekeeping society that is Honavar Beekeepers Association Society, which is very vibrant, coming with lot of products, and you must have tasted them also, at least few of them. Uh, Today, uh, India has today about 120 million bee colonies. Considering this modern beekeeping, which arrived in India only few decades ago, later promoted by Khadi and Village Industries Commission also. ICR on a national scale they have promoted it. But this Khadi and Village Industries, which work very closely with the rural folk, they started promoting this. Uh, Today we have number of bee colonies and beekeepers cooperative societies. So we have uh, beekeepers societies, almost uh, 800 beekeeping society, and it has made a spectacular achievement, especially in the states of Tamil Nadu, Kerala, West Bengal, Bihar, Orissa, Himachal, Kashmir, Punjab, Meghalaya, Andaman and Nicobar Islands. And these are the important states in which the beekeeping cooperative societies are very, very active. As I have told you, the country has a potential to keep about 150 million colonies, and it can provide, if you keep 120 million bee colonies, it can provide self-employment to over 6 million rural families. In terms of production, these bee colonies can produce 15 million tons of honey and 15,000 tons of wax. Demand for honey of stingless honeybee is higher than the supply. There's a good demand, huge demand for honey, but supply is there. The honey is considered of high medicinal value, and um, honey price average is 300 rupees per kg. Some of the soap nut honey and all costing 1,500 rupees per kg. Soap nut ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು ಇದರದ್ದು ಅಟ್ಲ ತುಪ್ಪ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಹೇಳ್ತಿರಲ್ಲ ಇಲ್ಲಿ. That is costing even 1,500 rupees kg, but an average price is 300 rupees per kg. And um, the advantage of these bees is they require no feeding. They will go out and get their own food. Very low management practice and cost. Uh, Even stingless bees can be kept along with Indian bees in an apiary because there is no competition. Their foraging habits are different, and they are found useful as pollinators of many crops because the bees are primarily important for pollination. They are known to increase the crop yield by 25% easily. So that's why uh, beekeeping business has serving two functions. One is society adding more and more food crops because the crop yield will be increased by 25%, and it can produce rural employment to the tune of about 6 million people. Uh, All of you know that honey itself is a healthy natural food, and it's also uh, a useful medicine for variety of ailments. So that's why we can say that honey production is a service to the society. If somebody starts beekeeping, they are giving service to the society by increasing the crop production, by producing medicinally important honey. So even royal jelly, pollen, bee wax, or there are some other priced bee products. And remember, like other other product production units, there is no pollution here. It's an environmental friendly practice where you can earn your livelihood also, and you can serve the society. Undoubtedly, there are certain problems. I don't say that it's a cakewalk, but certainly some problems will be there. One is the beekeeping are non-availability of honey boxes to the beekeepers. Honey boxes are always in short in supply. Then, though honey has a good market, but marketing facilities are less. There is no organized market. But there are certain cooperative societies which are doing good. They purchase the honey from the apiarist and market them. Even there is inadequate training with respect to the management of apiary. Then, what is the viable suggestion is we have to strengthen the beekeeping cooperatives and establish the bee industry as a whole and national beekeeping farms on forest land. Even if you keep your hives in the forest land, also nobody objects. Remember. Then, uh, what are the products of beekeeping? Many times, when we say beekeeping, we always think it is the honey. Honey is the main product, undoubtedly. But there are many other products which you get from this beekeeping. Probably the bee wax, ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಜೇನುಮೇಣ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. It's a byproduct of beekeeping in most of the areas. So when these beekeepers uncap or break the honeycombs, they see there will be a lot of unusable combs, and uh, then you have to remove them, and they recover the honey from the combs as possible by drainage or by extraction, and then these unusable combs are placed the material in what kept in heating water, and uh, at the temperature of 63 degrees centigrade. This melts the wax, and usually in water it rises to the surface. Then when the water cools, it hardens. Then this cake of wax is removed and refined for the reuse of comb foundation sometimes. And apart from that, suppose if you are want to start a new colony, then you can use this cake of wax, uh, can be used for comb foundation. Bee wax has, apart from this, it has lot of uses, especially in quality candles, in preparation of the quality candles. More than that, now in the candle production, of course, bee wax is seldom used because uh, the cost will be more, and candles can be easily manufactured by paraffin wax. But nowadays, more use of this bee wax is found in cosmetic industries. Sometimes even in then Another product is the pollen. Pollen is very rich in protein. Of course, it's the richest source of protein, we can say that, because it contains all those essential amino acids, then various fatty acids. It also rich in vitamins B, C, D, E, and K, and it has a provitamin A, which may be converted into vitamin A. That means it has virtually all vitamins A, B, C, D, E, and even K. Usually, how to collect this pollen? Bees collect the pollen when they collect the nectar from the plant, and they are stored in that pollen sac. They enrich it with different ferments, hormones, and antibiotic substance. See, when the bee collects the nectar, nectar is not the honey. Nectar is converted into honey by these honeybees by adding different ferments, hormones, antibiotic substances. Then it deposits in the honeycomb cell. Then, if excess water is there, it is fanned out. In many honeycomb chambers, you can see the these balls of pollens, honeycomb gel, and we get extracted honeycomb pollen. You can extract the honeycomb pollen. It is also called as bee bread. Pollen is also called as bee bread. Even you can install a pollen trap at the entrance of the hive. When the bees enter the hive, their pollen basket get brushed to this trap and which collects the pollen. When the bees try to squeeze through the wire of a pollen trap, pollen load fall off their hind legs and that is collected. So this is another very this thing. Pollens are rich in nutrients. Another very important and interesting byproduct is the royal jelly. So royal jelly is the one secreted by the glands of young worker bees. This is the highly nutritious food that the worker bees feed only the queen. These nurse bees feed the jelly to the larvae, uh, which are up to 3 days old. Then they stop. But for the queens, throughout its life, they uh, it feeds on this royal jelly. It's a very distinctive food, and decides if you feed the worker larva continuously with the royal jelly, it will develop into a queen. Whether a worker or a queen bee will hatch from the larva, it depends on whether the larva gets royal jelly or not. If the larva gets only royal jelly for 3 days, they will uh, remain as, or they will develop as a worker. But if a particular larva gets this royal jelly continuously, then that will develop into a queen. When the honeycomb cells many times contain the largest amount of royal jelly, if the royal jelly is more, beekeepers harvest it. There's a huge demand, extensive for this royal jelly, very demanding, because the amount of royal jelly we are able to collect is very, very less. So the name itself will give you it is not the common jelly for the common bees, either drones or bees, but it is for royal only for the queen. This is the only food the queen feed on it. It is said that even in humans, the royal jelly improves the general well-being as well as the brain functioning also. It improves the functioning of the brain. So that's why one is it helps with the normal well-being and improves the brain function. Even it has seen that the royal jelly halts this aging phenomenon. If you want to remain young for longer period of time, you too start eating royal jelly. Uh, it's an excellent dietary supplement, particularly for elderly people. It's a very good supplement, nutritional supplement. But getting royal jelly is very, very difficult. The amount what you get is also very, very less. So that's why it's a huge demand and it's a huge price. Another byproduct of this bee culture is propolis. Propolis is a natural antibiotic. We can say that it's a special treasure that is found in the beehives because always there's a demand for natural antibiotics, and the propolis is one such thing. What is this propolis? Bees collect lot of resins from variety of trees and shrubs. Resins, an alkaloid, variety of trees and shrubs, and blend it with pollen pellets while feeding the larva. Over 360 substances have been found in this propolis. Even bee coats the beehive with this propolis. Inside the beehive, the bees coat it with propolis. Thus, it protects it from moisture, wind, and even microbes because it's a natural antibiotic. We human beings can extract it from alcohol or water-based solution. There are two methods of solvent extraction. One is alcohol-based, or other one is the water-based. And then you can mix it with honey or other drinks, yogurt, milk, tea, etc. Nowadays, lot of pharmaceutical preparations are made using this propolis. There are a lot of ointments, tablets, injections, even the solutions for treating different infections. Then the next one is bee venom. Probably you may wonder why we are all afraid of the honeybees because of the sting and the venom and the irritation that it causes. Now we say that bee venom is a byproduct. It's a product which can be marketable. All of us know that bees for their sting, but generally bees do not sting unless they get good reasons to sting. Unless you disturb them, they don't. Bees will sting only if their life is seriously threatened. If they see any future danger, then only they will start biting. But in case of the beehives, that's a different story. The guard bees perform their duty by guarding the entrance of their home because it is their duty to protect their hive. Because inside there will be larvae, there will be queen, and plentiful reserve of honey and pollen. Uh, so that's why they are always there and they can sting you if they happen to know that you are intruding them. So that's why if we are stung by a bee, it is completely normal. It's a kind of reaction. Most of the time, nothing happens. In some cases, there may be allergic reactions. If there is allergic reactions, then you have to approach, you should approach the medical assistance. I am talking about domesticated bees, not about the wild bees. Wild bees are more dangerous. They are large bees having more venom, and they will sting not one, sometimes hundreds and thousands. So that's why you have to rescue yourself and immediately approach the doctor. Otherwise it may be fatal. Many people die because of the bite of these wild honeybees. In medicine, the bee venom has lot of uses, especially to treat allergic, and bee venom is also used to heal various conditions and illness. There is now it has been proved that bee venom can cure the arthritis. ಜಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಪೇನ್ ಬರುತ್ತಲ್ಲ, ಏಜ್ ಆದ ನಂತರ ಯಂಗ್ ಇದ್ರಲ್ಲೂ ಬರ್ಬೋದು, ಏಜ್ ಆದವರಿಗೆ ಹೆಚ್ಚಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಇಟ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಕ್ಯೂರ್ ದ arthritis. Then increasingly, it has become increasingly popular in cosmetic industries. Even bee venom is added in creams and serums because it is supposed that it's a natural substitute for Botox, one of the cosmetics which has been extensively used. It's a natural this thing. And now, why I am telling this bee venom is has becoming very very popular. Now the people want the bees to sting them because they know that by getting the sting of a bee, it will cure the joint pains and all the pains and even mainly the arthritis. That's why if you go to Bangalore, once you visit University of Agriculture Science, there is one um, department, apiculture department. You go there, in their farm, early morning, there will be 50 to 100 people standing in a line to get the bee sting. Uh, they go there and they put their hands in the beehives and disturb them, and they will get sting. And it has nowadays scientifically proved that bee venom, bee sting will control this arthritis. So even you can start, if you start the beehive and publicize it, then people will line in front of your home to get the bee sting, and you can charge them. So that's why the bee venom has become very very popular nowadays. These are all the byproducts. But all of you know the main product of beekeeping is honey. Honey is the viscous fluid which has been produced from the flower nectar by the bees. Commercially talking, this is the most profitable or most important product of apiculture, since it's the whole food. It is considered as a whole food because it contains sugars, antibiotics, enzymes, acids, and minerals. It's a rich in energy also because it has high sugar content, so is a high energy source. And you know that many of these Ayurvedic preparations, they are the carriers. Even in Unani medicine also, Unani medicinal preparations, honey is a carrier. Many times, if you go to Ayurvedic doctor, he will give you some powder, churna or something, and ask you to lick it with honey. In severe case of malnutrition, even in ulcers, I can give you. Sometimes you get ulcers in your mouth ulcers. ಏನು ಬಾಯಲ್ಲಿ ಅಥವಾ ನಾಲಿಗೆ ಮೇಲೆ ಸಣ್ಣ ಬೊಕ್ಕೆ ಇರ್ತಾವಲ್ಲ, you apply honey immediately, you will get the relief. Ulcers, if the impaired digestion, usually the honey is recommended. Regularly you can take honey. There's also one more byproduct, honey dew. What is this honey dew? Usually the honeybees collect the nectar along with the plant sap also. When they collect, they ingest the sap and nectar. Then they are processed in the gut of the worker bee, remember. The plant sap which they ingest is mostly water, sugar with just a fraction of protein. But when this pollen and this plant saps, they get processed in the digestive system, the remains come out as a black drops. And these black drops are called as honeydew. You can see that in these beehives. And that black drops are called as honeydews. Technically speaking, the ingested substance cannot be called honeydew unless it runs through the bee's digestive tract. So these honeydews that are expelled lands on leaves, branches, needles, or even on the ground under the plant. Even many aphids, bugs, and other insects also produce this honeydew. Honeydew is also having lot of pharmaceutical value and cosmetic value. So that's why there's also a huge demand for this honeydew. So these are the byproducts of honeybees or apiculture. Most of the time when we talk about this honeybee, we talk only about honey. Remember, apart from that honeybee, we have so many other products like bee wax, we have pollen, royal jelly, propolis, bee venom, and honeydew. So if you start the apiculture and collect all these things also, which has a huge demand compared to honey, these byproducts have more demand because they are available in very small amount. So that's why you can your apiculture will be certainly a profitable business, provided along with honey, if you are also able to collect or sell all these things. So this is about the history of beekeeping in India and the byproducts. Have you understood? Gotayta, especially the byproducts of bee is a very important thing, even from examination point of view. Every now and then they ask, Arthaita,
Yes, sir.
any doubt before moving forward? ಹೇಳಿ
No doubt, sir.
ಗೊತ್ತಾಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಾ?
Yes, sir.
ಸೊ ನಿಮ್ದು ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಇದು ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಟೆಸ್ಟಿಗೆ ಆನ್ಸರ್ ಬರ್ದಿದ್ದೀರಾ ಅಲ್ಲ?
Yes, sir.
ಟುಮಾರೋ ಯು ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಕಮಿಂಗ್ ಟು ದ ಕಾಲೇಜ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಅಲ್ವಾ
Okay,
ಇಲ್ವಾ?
sir.
ಹಾ
Yes, sir.